you're going to learn and you're going to grow and you are going to have foundational wellness as we participate together.
Welcome to the Experience Wellness Podcast with hosts Rebecca Hintze and Laura Jacobs. Here you'll find the ultimate guide to living healthier, feeling happier, and thriving like never before.
Hello and welcome to the Experience Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Hintze, along with Laura Jacobs, my dear friend, bestie for many years. We are here on a mission to help you experience wellness using doTERRA products. So if you're new to our podcast, welcome. We're so glad you're here. We would love to invite you to subscribe to this. We believe in healthy habits. And one of the healthy habits you might want to create is listening to this podcast so that you can learn how to use your doTERRA products, how to make your lifestyle the very best you've ever experienced simply by joining our community. Welcome to you, our guest, and welcome Laura Jacobs.
It's so great to be here, Becky. I love the idea. Thanks for brainstorming and ideating this possibility. You're such a brilliant broadcaster with your past and your experience, and what a valuable offer. I'm just thrilled to be a part of this and to have an opportunity to share so much of the yumminess that's in our hearts and in our life experience and in our professional experience, and truly hope to raise the tide, add to people's lives, give them more energy and enthusiasm and knowledge for why the things that we'll be discussing matter. So thank you so much for this opportunity to partner with you. I'm excited.
It is so exciting. And if you, our listener, are not familiar with who we are, we'll tell you for just a minute. So I'll tell you a little bit about Laura. First of all, Laura has worked in the health and wellness industry for over 30 years. She owned and ran her own health food store and worked with clients providing nutrition and holistic health advice, and ran her own holistic health certification program, which I am proud to say I'm a graduate. I have learned from Laura over the last 30 years about all things wellness, and my family and my own life are much better because of our relationship. Not just as friends, but professionally. So it's just wonderful to have Laura here. She is one of the biggest educators at doTERRA, knowing our products inside and out. And as you start to listen to this podcast regularly, you're going to discover who Laura is and how much she does know about the body. You can just sit back and rest assured that the advice that she gives will be just exactly what you need.
Wow, what a vote of confidence. Thank you. Something to aspire to and live up to. Thank you for that introduction. May I introduce Becky as well? As she indicated, we're lifers, we're besties. We've been doing this journey called life together. Gosh, Becky, like well over 20 years. I'd have to get in my head to get to the exact number, but we've been growing up, raising babies, doing life together, and both have such a passion for this larger scope of what we call wellness. And Becky has been a part, talk about being an innovator. She jumped in really, really early into a world known as emotional health or emotional wellness, and more of a specialty there, and innovated processes and different things that people could engage in to literally help reprogram the brain. Becky has since gone on to get not only her master's, but in her PhD program to continue her expertise in the field of what we call psychology, but really specializes in both mental and emotional health. And one of my favorite things to share about Becky is Becky's an incredible strategic and big thinker. She's full of ideas, as I mentioned already. And she created something that I've never seen anybody create anything like unto it. She wrote a book called Healing Your Family History. And perhaps, Becky, you could give us the dates. But to my remembrance, even decades ago, probably, in the early years of doTERRA, your book had been published in over 30 countries. And you've really been at the forefront of this whole arena of what it means to have holistic emotional and mental health, not just straight down the line, conventional, traditional, but really a very, very holistic approach, which has been such an enrichment to my own life, my own thinking, and so many of the people within your sphere of influence. And I'm so grateful we get to lock arms with our experience. We make kind of a yin and a yang, right?
We do, and we've learned so much from each other, but I'll tell you what we really are here for with our audience, I think, is to heal family patterns, but we're talking about with our own health and wellness. Since most of what we communicate is nonverbal, it's really who we are, is the experience of what we pass on. And I think both of us are passionate about that title of changing patterns for individuals, for families, for countries, for society, which is why we're so engaged and passionate about the work that we do at doTERRA. So wherever you're at in the world, if you're catching this podcast, we hope that the information here will help you to have the habits, the foresight, the wisdom, and the ability to change the health habits that may not be working for you so that we leave this world a better place for the generations that do follow. And I think that's a perfect place actually to kind of dive into the topic of our podcast today because we want to talk about foundational wellness. And we want to start with the idea of nutrition, which is really at the foundation, I believe. And Laura, you're the best person to kick off the topic of what is foundational wellness for us? What does that actually mean? What does it look like? And then where does doTERRA fit in that? What products should we be using to make sure that we have that foundational nutrition in our life so that we can go on and pass on better habits and a better genetic system for the next generation?
I love that. I love that you ended those comments with generation. That really speaks to me. One of the things that's been fun about our journey together, Becky, is the fact, like I said, we've grown up together and we've grown up our families together. Way back in the day, we had littles at our house and we were still birthing littles, right? And so I want you to feel confident in our care and our time together, that we come so much also from experience. And to really kick off what you're asking for, Becky, is way back in the day, my son, my oldest, is 33 years old today. And when he was 1, he started to get ear infections. And yeah, that whole gamut. And I noticed that, we were doing the circuit of like antibiotics, and then he'd be fine. That would took like 10 days or whatever. And then he'd be fine. And then he'd have an ear infection. It was becoming monthly. And I just thought to myself, there's got to be a better way. Like, I don't feel even good as a mom that it can't be an antibiotic every month. Like, seriously, there has to be something better. And so my first step, like literally into kind of becoming this more holistic, wellness oriented mother, because the conventional approach was not giving me anything beyond basically putting out the fire in his ears, was, okay, is there another way? So I learned a more natural approach, and man, I had it down to a science. Like, if that kid got a little ear situation going on, I had him out of it in 4 hours. That felt really good. So I became what I called a someday mom, where I was good at solving problems on those days when they would arise. But here was the clincher. Upon searching and learning, which I love to do, I discovered that dairy could be a trigger for him, especially because of the fact that he'd been on antibiotics, and it would have annihilated certain bacteria in his gut microbiome, which we didn't even really talk that much back then. And he would have then experienced a loss of capacity to break down dairy as a result of that. And so then I changed his relationship with the food category known as dairy, and discovered a whole new level. And that's what woke up what I would call the everyday mom in me. So when it comes to foundational wellness, it's something we need to think about. It's not a someday thing. It's an everyday thing. It's something we need to be paying attention to. And one of the ways, you have to excuse me, I think I have an allergy or something and my nose is running. So I'm licking oils. I'm just going to be, a person in the middle of it right this moment. I'm just going to be a human right now. So what I like to do is teach this kind of like a car, right? So a car has certain rules that it runs by, and so does the body. So when you think about a car, it's really simple. You're going to have some keys or some way to start it. You're going to have to, and okay, we're not going to get into like a Tesla and electric cars because I don't really understand those, other than they seem like it's a battery, you turn it on. Let's go with an old fashioned car, right? So we have an alternator and batteries and spark plugs and keys, and you got to turn the thing on. You got to fire it up. It's got to have some fuel in it. And then we're humming and running, right? Oh, but wait, there's exhaust, there's waste. We burn the oil, we burn the gas, and there's waste in the car in the process that it's engaged in. Well, our bodies are the same way. We have to have things that fire it up. We have to have things that fuel it. and we better darn well get rid of the exhaust that we're producing. So when I think of foundational wellness, Becky, for me, it's actually quite well represented if you reflect on our wellness lifestyle pyramid that we refer to so often in doTERRA, whether it's in a class or the Live Guide. It's a staple framework that we speak to. So think in your mind, picture the pyramid, and what is the bottom level? The bottom level is nutrition and digestion. So foundational wellness for me is represented right there. So let's define what that means. Let's actually start with digestion. You have your gut, and the darn thing needs to be working, right? So if you put something down the hatch, well, you probably should break it down and have it go to work for you. So right out of the gates, we have to have, juices and digestive enzymes and things that are functioning. Then it enters into the lower intestinal tract, at the beginning of which we have absorption, right? The nutrients that are worth extracting are going out into the body in the form of absorption and utilization. And then we're getting rid of what we don't need, right? The bulky stuff, right? And so it's going down into the lower intestines and we're ridding ourselves of that. So if we look at that process and we say, okay, that's like the spark plugs, the keys, the battery, and the alternator. Like, you don't got nothing happening if the gun ain't happening. Like, literally everything that kind of goes into you as fuel. When was the last time you rubbed on your protein and carbs and fats for the day? And that's how you got your food. Everything goes through this system. So it has to work. And so can we enhance that process? Can we complement it? Can we ensure that it's working? So the number one most important product for this gut activation is our PB Restore. Okay, hands down, bar none. And that's why we're seeing it now in this new foundational wellness kit, because PB Restore is a non negotiable player to this particular repertoire. Now, are there a couple enhancements? The answer is yes. The first enhancement going down the hatch is going to be enzyme. So Terrazyme would be very, very complementary to that process. Why would you add it? Because you're aware that that process isn't so great for you, or because you recognize the food that you're eating is lacking its own enzyme. So let's complement it. Then when it comes to the humming and running of the eliminative organs, you can complement that with some Zendocrine complex. And when it comes to bulking things out the back door, you can add some fiber. So that's kind of that first phase, Becky, before we jump into fuel. And then I turn it over to you in case there's anything you want to add or say there before I jump into the fuel, which is the next portion of foundational wellness.
Well, I do want to just bring up the tie, which I know we're going to talk about in a minute when we talk about stress and so forth. And but I think it's important to just talk about the nutritional tie. And I want to bring back, like, let's just kind of go back 20, 30 years in the field of mental health. No one was talking about the gut microbiome. No one was really, well, somebody was probably, but not very many people widely accepted that nutrition played a role in mood, or that what was going on in your gut had anything to do with anxiety and stress. And yet, the research over the years has pointed so closely to the gut brain connection that it's become commonplace knowledge now. Everyone's kind of saying, oh, yeah, what goes on in the gut definitely has an impact in the brain. So just let me restate the obvious. Everything you're talking about right now, when we're talking about nutrition and digestion, plays a direct role in mental health. You can't avoid it. So your gut microbiome, what that PB Restore is doing for your gut to help support your digestion, and also the enzymes and the micronutrients too. You can't make neurochemicals in your brain without having some cofactors, some nutritional elements that are there. So if you're wanting to feel good emotionally, mentally, you've got to pay attention to nutrition and digestion. So just had to add that, Laura.
Boom. I remember, Becky, way back in my earlier days of this whole vast education that I've had, the story of the man, I can't recall his name, but he was the first one to call your gut your second brain. And he was laughed out with his peers at the time. He was so far ahead in his thinking and people thought he was crazy. And now, of course, he's a hero. And I remember early on in my practice and my education that we weren't talking this way, but as things progressed, we started speaking about how much of your serotonin is actually manufactured by your body in your gut. And it isn't being made up here in your brain, right? It's being made all over your body. It's kind of cool. But the majority of it is being manufactured right there in your gut. So I love that we've anchored that this isn't, again, I said this is non-negotiable. I'm not kidding. Like, your gut microbiome health is essential. So PB Restore, hands down, non-negotiable partner.
Well, and can I just add too that there are so many studies where probiotics have been used to treat depression, so many of them. So we know this bacteria element is so critical. And so I think we often are kind of picking up, okay, we need omega fatty acids and we need nutrition for brain function, but we also need the gut microbiome to be working. So just think about that with the PB Restore product, that it's probably one of the most important products that doTERRA has that will help with your brain. And we don't always think of that. So just want to make sure we've underscored that.
Okay, so we're going to have another podcast because we're going to stick to our framework for today. But oh my gosh, we got to dive in and look more. Like let's open the capsule of PB Restore and let's talk about what's in there because it's really quite magical, and put it in the context of not only gut health, microbiome, but mental health, as you've said. That'd be a really fun conversation. So we'll come back to that. All right, so you ended your last comment ago about nutrition. And I mentioned kind of the next thing we get to look at with the car is then, does it have any gas in it? Does it have fuel, right? So this vehicle of ours called our body can actually go do something. And so when it comes to fuel, and again, we're still on the bottom of our pyramid, we're still looking at nutrition and digestion. So we've kind of covered the digestion, but let me make sure I made myself really clear. It includes things coming out the backside, okay? So what goes in must come out. And so I kind of have a rule, for example, this is a little like step away, but let's get really clear. And I love that Dr. Von Watts has emphasized this as well. I love to put people on an initial program in month 1 and then invite them to jump into our Cleanse and Restore program in month 2. But I don't want you on a detox program, for example, where we're going to really work the pipes unless you're having bowel movements twice a day. So part of this basic foundational wellness with the gut is we want things going well the entire way through it. So that's why I mentioned the endocrine complex, the fiber, water, enzymes. They're all very much partnered to that. And what you eat. So I kind of think like, hey, if you don't need enough fiber, then put our fiber product in your food budget, right? Because we're just making up for the food that you're not getting. So just an extra emphasis there on what the full scope of gut health really needs to include. And again, making up for wherever the diet's not bringing it. Let's talk fuel. So this is so exciting. We get to talk fuel in a new way because we've just had a product release with a change up with LLV, which has been such an amazing product for us. It's been it's our number. Did you know LLV is our number 1 best-selling product, bar none, right? Like it's an incredible, incredible product. And why? Because people love it. It makes them feel better, so they don't quit taking it. Now, have there been any challenges to that, which maybe slow people down on consuming the number of nutrients that they need? And the answer is yes, mainly 2 things. 1, the number of capsules required to get the proper amount of nutrition. And number 2, taking it more than once a day. I mean, come on, let's be honest. The world today is all about moving fast and getting things done, and people are impatient. And so one and done is actually really, really superb. So Becky and I have had a chance to consume these products prior to the release of them at convention. And everybody that I've talked to has fallen in love with not only the flavor, we're talking 100% adoption on flavor. And 2, people like literally craving the VMG for their morning. So we're having a little swap out if you want, right? As of right now, you have the choice. Keep doing what you're doing. If you love it and it's working, go for it. If you'd like to change it up because you see yourself struggling maybe with compliance on consumption and you need more. But the bottom line is, to Becky's point, we're talking foundational wellness here. You got to have essential nutrients. And there's 2 types of nutrients. So let's get really clear. That's what we call micronutrients, will come in the form of vitamins and minerals and essential fatty acids and amino acids and antioxidants. Those are like these little micro things that we need. And then there's macro, right? And most of the macro you're counting on your diet for, which are your proteins, your fats, and your carbohydrates. And so you can even look at like Advantage and you're like, ooh, I'm playing in 2 categories, right? I'm bringing in all kinds of amino acids and I'm contributing to the overall consumption of protein in my diet. So most of our supplements are going to fall over here in that micronutrient category. Most especially, hands down, bar none, this new VMG. I don't think I've ever in my 30-year career seen anything like this. Now, there's a lot of fakes out there. There's some that look really, really similar to this, but you must look under the hood. An essential nutrient can't be freaking synthetic. It's got to be the real deal. And when I look at this label, I'm a label reader. I mean, blown away by the number of, let's just call them plants, because that's what it is. This is an absolute superfood blend. It's a whole food complex. It's got all the yummy stuff in there you need. I've loved listening to Alex DeBell unpack what's in there, because again, my brain was first developed as an herbalist and nutritionist before an aromatherapist. So I've heard him say certain things that really mean a lot to me, in that, oh, we're getting these nutrients from this plant. We're not just bringing them in pieces. We're pulling the nutrients in from an entire plant complex. So number 2, after the gut, now we've got it working so it actually does something with the nutrients. Now we put the fuel in. And hands down, bar none, we've never had anything like VMG. It is superb fuel. It comes in a powder liquid form. You're drinking it, so your absorption is going to go up. Your utilization is going to go up. It's absolutely packed beyond measure. Like, just try to find anything like it. You're not going to. And then, of course, we're complementing that with those essential fatty acids that are part of that basic fuel family that we need every day. So, Becky, that kind of covers category number 2. Is okay, PB Restore, non-negotiable, bar none, got to have it for my gut. And then when it comes to essential nutrients, boom, right there with the VMG and the E omega.
So just let me add in, Laura, and I'm going to look at some notes here. The VMG product is a cellular support blend. It's a superfood blend. It's a biotransformation blend, a bioavailability boosting blend, and a nutritional blend. So those are some of the marketing names for this particular product. I just want to circle back, because my role in this podcast, so you'll know as you're listening to different episodes, is just to kind of point you in the field of mental health, how this applies. And again, your body has to have these nutrients as cofactors to create neurochemicals in order for you to feel good. So this gut nutrition piece is huge. And this particular product, you're going to see such an ability for the body to absorb this product and to absorb this nutrient of this product into the body, that you're going to see probably a pretty quick impact on the brain. So you can play around with it and see. But as you start taking it, you'll notice that you should feel something. And that's where I would encourage you to start, especially if you're looking at having any kind of challenge with your mood. Go ahead and get this product, start using it regularly, and use it with the PB assistance. Start working your way up the wellness foundational pyramid that we're talking about. With this PB Restore, the digestive enzymes, all the support that we've labeled out here for you today. Start using it. And at least according to the research that I have done, within a week or 2, you're probably going to notice a difference in your mood.
I love that you gave it some time, Becky. Like, we're all in different spaces and places, right? Some bodies are more prepared to respond. Others are not in as good a condition. They're not as fit. And so timing on responsiveness is going to vary from person to person. And if you're like looking at your neighbor, like we so often do, and you're comparing your experience, you're like, gosh, I hear them saying la, 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 la. We'll go back to the gut, right? Because we're talking about this product is super easy to utilize. Becky listed off not 1, not 2, but 5 different superfood blends that are within this one product, not to mention some other really amazing stuff. So it's a powerhouse. But utilization varies from person to person. So go back to your gut. You've got to have the PB in there to make sure you have the capacity to utilize these core nutrients. In addition to that, if you need to add the enzymes, because again, you just know yourself and your digestive system, and you know your diet, and it makes sense. If you're not humming and running and moving and shaking out the back door, well, then consider adding not only the enzymes, but the Zenderkin complex, because it's not only is it going to touch the eliminative channels. I call them the chimneys, right? There's kind of 4 trash cans that go out to the curb, and Zenderkin assures that you're having the proper exodus from all of those important channels or chimneys. You also must support your liver. There are so many people, like, for example, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, that's the name of it, right? It has all those letters, is so common. It used to be something that we would see in alcoholics only, but non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is rampant. And a lot of people's livers need to have extra support. And so I want you to gauge your own experience. Like, how prepared am I? How prepared is my terrain to work with these nutrients and put them to work? So the first thing Becky invited was time. Give yourself a week or 2 and measure and gauge, because it's like filling up your gas tank. What if you've been running on empty or less than empty for a length of time in your life? And so now you're filling up your tank every day. And over time, you're going to have a buildup of the nutrients in your body. You're going to be able to stack your deck better. So be patient and just look at basic stuff. I love that you're talking about feeling good, Becky, because feeling good, isn't that really why we're all motivated to do anything? Like when I go work out, if I feel better after the workout, that means it was a good workout. If I feel worse, I have to rethink, like, what did I do wrong? Like, could I have done better? So how do you feel? How's your mental clarity? How's your sleep? Look at those. How does your skin look? Look at the basic things that you're always measuring your health by. And is it moving the needle, right? You have these things to observe, and your mood is certainly one of those. I love that you brought that up.
Well, and I think once you start using this product, you brought up movement, Laura, and you will feel like getting out and moving. And whenever I'm working with any clients who are struggling with their mood, the last thing they want me to tell them is to start exercising. And yet, exercise is one of the best things that we can do for our mood. Exercise has been shown to work as well as many of the other alternative treatments that counselors have recommended for years. It kind of charts the list, honestly, right now. Exercise is amazing for our mental and physical health. And yet, if you don't feel good, you don't want to do it. You don't want to go jogging. You don't want to go to the gym. You don't want to jump on a bike. You may not even want to go walk to the mailbox. But if you're feeling better, that's something that's doable. In fact, when we're not feeling well, we're kind of programmed right now to want to take a pill. So in this case, you get to sip an awesome tasting drink and feel better if you're taking the VMG Plus product. And then you can swallow a couple of pills to go along with it. And then just give yourself a little bit of time. And with, pretty quickly, you're going to feel like you can get out and start to move. And that brings us to our next topic of talking about movement and metabolism. And of course, doTERRA provides probably the best product on the market for metabolism, which I know you're about to address, Laura, as we dive into this topic. Metabolism is so key. Laura, I know you love the MetaPower system. Should we go there next?
Sure. I love that. Let's give this some context, right? So often people struggle with decision making. So we're going to make this super easy. First and foremost, you get to check the boxes of you can't run your car without keys and you cannot run your car without gas. Those things are non-negotiable. And so if you're like, where do I start? I don't sleep well or my mood or whatever. I love Dr. Von Watt's attitude. He would tell his clients, like, I know you came in here for this, but we're actually going to not talk about that for 4 months. In other words, we're going to go through a 90-day program. And what he would see, what I've seen over all these years, is if we address the basic needs of the body, so many of those other so-called projects dissipate. And then the few glaring ones really stand out in the crowd if you need some particular support. So even with metabolism, should you jump into our MetaPower system first? Coming from me, I would give you an emphatic no. The bottom of the pyramid is the bottom of the pyramid. So start there. Start with the gut, start with the essential nutrients, and check those boxes first. Then you could either wait and see how you're doing, or you could decide what's going to become really, really prevalent in our conversations in the doTERRA world is also then understanding that there's the core, the foundational, and then there's what we call targeted solutions. And this is a partnership. And so what we all have in common is a need to, do all the things we've already talked about, everything from the front to the back door. That's a level, equal playing field amongst humans. Now, there's all kinds of variations on theme when it comes to metabolism, when it comes to movement, rest, and exercise. So kind of think of those next two levels in our pyramid. And so that's an opportunity to customize, to individualize, to personalize your program. So on the foundation of the basic products we've talked about, the PB Restore, the VMG, and the E Omega, then you can consider, where else would I benefit from some extra support? So whether it's from I'm feeling like I'm not optimized and I want to, raise my level of performance, to even like maybe you're a biohacker and you're like, I want this on steroids. Then we have these amazing product families. So for movement, we really lean into things like Deep Blue. For metabolism, we really lean into a family like our MetaPower family. For mood, we lean into something like the Adaptive family. And for that rest, we lean into Serenity. So those are some of the most common things we see at those next levels. And this is where, again, you're thinking targeted solutions. What then do I want to stack? I love like that Atomic Habits, like what am I going to stack? I'm going to start stacking, habit stacking. And these could be temporary or long-term decisions. I choose to take doTERRA's MetaPower Advantage collagen product, right? Every single day of my life. I choose to make that one of my personal long-term habits. In another case, I broke my foot this last year. There's that. It's been a journey. So, have I used extra deep blue? Immeasurable amounts. Have I needed help with sleep because of the discomfort? Immeasurable needs to help with sleep. So, those are more temporary projects, right? My foot, the bones are long since healed, and the sleep was a little longer in coming, but it's also coming along. So, then I might shift some of my targeted, but other things like supporting, because to me, I put that advantage all the way back in that fuel category. I want advantage to be part of my everyday fuel process, but I also, at my age and my progression, so that means hormonal, all the things, and with breaking the foot, I've noticed a compromise in my metabolism. And so, do I rely on the MetaPower Assist as a targeted solution for me? You better believe it, because I don't process carbohydrates or sugar in a way that seems beneficial to my figure, right? And so I really rely on the MetaPower Assist as a targeted solution, along with the MetaPower Blend, which are basically the three players in your MetaPower family. One is there to support you with protein building blocks and triggering longevity genes. That's the advantage. One is there to help you absolutely flatten the curve and to cut the carbs and the impact on your body. That's the assist. And then lastly, we have the blend, and it's straight up there to inhibit fat. And that's a really cool conversation in and of itself. So that's just a little bit deeper into that family, but in the context of the greater idea of targeted solutions.
So, Laura, let's just not forget the new member of that family, which is the Mito 2 Max product. And I want to be sure that we highlight that because it's new to the family. It kind of came in later. It does fit really nicely when we're talking about metabolism. But I want to not forget it because it is a great product for mental health. And we look at it for supporting the mitochondria of the cell. We look at it for cellular function. We look at it for optimization of cellular function and just for having, good amounts of energy and so forth. But what some may not realize is that product is fantastic for focus and attention. And the same with the MetaPower Advantage product. It's great for cognition. So remember, as we go through these products and we talk about things like sleep and we talk about toxins in the environment and we talk about gut function, like I said, all of this ties back to mental health. You're not missing the brain in any of this conversation whatsoever. Often we think of the MetaPower system as being focused on weight loss, but it really isn't. It's not about weight loss. And with diet culture is the way it is these days, we definitely don't want to look at it as just a weight loss figure promoting product because it has ingredients in it which are so much more impactful for so many other systems of the body. And like I said, mood is one of them, cognition, energy, focus, so forth. So important to look at the whole system, I think, in a very holistic kind of perspective. You may have some thoughts on MetaPower too, Laura, that I didn't mention because I think, the MetaPower
Max.
Mito 2 Max. Yeah, you may have some thoughts on the Mito 2 Max.
Yeah, thank you I'd love to splash that in. So again, let's pull back. We're a vehicle. We've got to fire the thing up. We've talked about the gut, and then we've talked about fuel. So fuel comes in lots of different sizes, shapes, and packages, no pun intended. So we've talked about essential nutrients and that we need that kind of fuel. And that's, again, kind of the non-negotiable, can't live without it. We can't possibly pull those nutrients that we need out of our food. Our food supply is inadequate. There is no way you're going to get what you need in the right amounts, even in the right ratios, by eating the standard American diet or even a better version of that. It's impossible. For myself, Becky, I pull. So even though we might put our recharge product, for example, and our Mito 2 Max product up there on that second tier of the pyramid, when it comes to, okay, I'm looking at metabolism because they're in that MetaPower family, I pull them into my own fuel category. I want the extra minerals. The electrolyte product, the recharge, is phenomenal. And again, we could talk about everything from nervous system to brain function to muscle function to mental and emotional health. That the charge, the literal charge that goes through your body, the electricity, a body that feels better acts better. A person who feels good is in a better mood. And so for me, I bring the minerals down because they're part of that fuel category, and I bring in the Mito 2 Max. Those are two non-negotiables for me, along with the Advantage. Because again, as I look at the scope of what I could be doing, doTERRA bar none has the coolest, bestest ever electrolyte product, the best collagen, the best VMG. Like, these are the highest quality. If you've ever driven a nice car, a nice brand, like, you have to put better fuel in it. You have to. It's non-negotiable. The engine requires it. So do you want to buy crummy fuel, synthetic fuel, or do you want the kind of fuel that really gets your engine humming and running? And so when we think about fuel, the Mito 2 Max comes in on more of that cellular level. We're talking about cellular fuel, not just the overall firing up of the entire body system, but it does two primary things. One, it helps your mitochondria, which are these little things inside of your cell. They're like little engines, and it helps each little engine work better inside of each cell to make ATP or energy. And hello, to cool, it actually helps you make more mitochondria in each cell. I don't know what gets better than that. And so when we look at our old Mito 2 Max with adaptogenic herbs and kind of an energy formula, it's been really honed in and is very precise to mitochondrial health. And so for me, when I'm looking at putting someone on an initial program and really looking at how can I do the best good? PB Restore, VMG, E Omega, and you know what one of my very next choices is going to be, even before the Advantage? It's going to be the Mito 2 Max, Becky, because and Zendocrine, like, those are my other two big players, because I need the elimination organs humming and running, and I need the cells humming and running in order for this person to feel progress. So those are two really, really important add-on products when I help people get fired up for month one. So what am I stacking? I'm taking my foundational kit products, VMG, PB Restore, and E Omega, and I'm stacking right on top of that where I think most people are going to get the best start. I'm taking care of the chimneys, the liver, the endocrine complex, and I'm taking care of those cells with Mito 2 Max. I'm so glad you brought that up.
And all of this is going to help promote better sleep and better rest and better mood and all of that. Laura, I want to kind of circle back to kind of where we started in this conversation. And you shared the story of being a young mom and having a child with an ear infection and trying to put fires out. And I think a lot of times people come to doTERRA as an essential oil company looking to put fires out, thinking maybe an essential oil will work. I've seen online I can use this essential oil for this or that or the other, and maybe it'll work. They have all of these really amazing properties. And so a lot of people come in that front door at doTERRA thinking this is an essential oil company. And we are an essential oil company. In fact, you'll see essential oils throughout all of our products and even many of the ones that we just talked about. But this foundational wellness program is really the meat of who we are. It's really at the heart of everything we're doing, because you can be putting out fires all day long. We all are dealing with the fires in our lives, just like you were, Laura, when you were a young mom with a baby with reoccurring ear infections. We deal with these things, but the idea here is not to just deal with these things for the rest of our life. It's to work through these principles of foundational wellness and really get everything in line, so that as you're using essential oils, which we still want you to use and to get to know, that you're not having to use them for every fire every single day in your life, but those fires are fewer and fewer in between, because some of these foundational pieces have been put into place. Laura, I don't want to forget the conversation of essential oils. That's why I brought all that up, because essential oils do fit here, and nobody knows more about essential oils than you do as an aromatherapist, as an educator for doTERRA on essential oils. Where do essential oils fit for you in this pyramid?
Oh, Becky, I'm so glad you asked this question. I'm so passionate about this answer. And you know what? It's staring us right in the face, and it's been staring us in the face for a long time. So think with me, if you will, of our wellness pyramid. On the bottom, as we've discussed, is nutrition and digestion. Okay, that we've defined as foundational wellness, period, and talked about it front to back door and getting those nutrients out. Okay, next couple levels are movement, metabolism, rest, manage stress. Now, do we see oils coming into all these categories? The answer is emphatically yes. We have oils in our VMG blend. We have wild orange oil in our new E Omega product. We have oils, hello to deep blue, right? We have oils in the MetaPower blend, And that blend actually exists as well in our MetaPower Assist and our Advantage. We have oils in our Serenity bundle. We have oils in our Adaptive bundle. The essence of it is who's doTERRA? doTERRA is wellness powered by essential oils. So what I'd like to invite is to see, one, that oils are everywhere. Everything we're talking about is powered by essential oils, and you can power it more. Like if you really want to power up some gut stuff, like add some turmeric or add some celery oil. Like there's oils that we can bring in to enhance any of these processes, for example. But if you can think for yourself, first and foremost, the base of the pyramid is foundational wellness. It's core, it's the anchor, it's the bottom floor. And it's non-negotiable. You take it out, you take it out and boom, your whole thing, could be a house of cards, right? So that's first. Then oils just play so much in all that interior portion of our experience in what we could call, again, targeted solutions. I'm targeting sleep, mood, movement, metabolism, my liver, whatever. I got an oil for that, right? Targeting. The next tier on our pyramid is reducing toxicity, or what we used to call reduced toxic load. So not to be confused with, again, I invited you to ensure that your eliminative organs and chimneys are humming and running clear down here at level 1. Up here, I want you to think not so much in you, we've nailed that, but now on and around you. So you're going to all this effort to tune up your body and have it functioning. Well, why would you slather yourself in crazy stuff? Why would you brush your teeth or wash your clothes or your dishes or do skincare with things that are loaded with harmful chemicals and endocrine disruptors? It doesn't even make sense. And so the next tier we have on that reduced toxicity load is we're inviting you to eliminate toxicity by then bringing in our hair care, our sun care, our oral care, our skin care, all these amazing products we have. And guess what? They're all powered by essential oils, right? We've got a Bode with an amazing blend in it. We have our sun care with essential oils in it. Our skin care, our oral care, all of it is powered by essential oils. And the goal then is to reduce toxicity by choosing clean products that are going on and around you that are powered by essential oils and bring you the performance you're looking for, but eliminate the toxicity. And then our final tier, Becky, which again, to your point, is where most people come to us, which is the fifth level of our pyramid, is informed self-care. So people are usually coming in looking for a fire to, I got a fire and I'm trying to put it out. Do you have an oil for that? And the answer is, you better believe it. We've got an oil for pretty much any fire you might have burning. But I just want you to separate in your minds that some of those are more targeted solutions. Like, I'm not just going to do Serenity tonight. I'm going to do Serenity as more of a long-term commitment. I'm not just going to take Adaptive today, because to Becky's point earlier, I got to make more than one deposit. I'm trying to build up strength in my body system. But hey, what if I cut my finger while I was gardening in the yard? What if I bent over in the garden for 3 hours and now my back doesn't feel the same? What if I worked out too hard? What if I went out to eat and I ate something that wasn't great for my system? What if I have extra head tension because I sat at my desk too long or drove the car 12 miles or 12 hours or whatever? We got fires that happen intermittently. But look at the quality. Every single day I should be putting in good fuel. I really need to focus on those targeted solutions for it's more of a long game than it is a short game. I certainly need to be mindful of what I'm putting on and around me. And then finally, I choose natural solutions. When it comes to firefighting, I don't choose harmful chemicals. I don't choose endocrine disruption. I choose natural solutions. And so I keep those in my home. I've got my top 10, 20, 40, 75 oils, right? That are my favorite fire extinguishers. But the amount of interaction with your body, the greatest degree, is what you do every day. It's what you put on you every day. The firefighting is intermittent, and so you're putting them on occasionally. So build your lifestyle exactly like the pyramid teaches, and be mindful of the interaction you're having with all these substances, and recognize that an oil can be hired to work for you far more than a singular event, and that you have so many opportunities. Like maybe you want to do respiratory for a while. So breathe becomes part of your repertoire because it's a targeted solution for you. Maybe you want to do immune for a while. So On Guard is a targeted solution for you versus maybe it's a week-long solution that you're pulling On Guard and Breathe down because, like me, my nose is running today. So I might need some extra targeted, or I might need an extra extinguisher right now to figure out what just happened today. what's going on? Was it some tree that's blooming outside? Whatever. But really think of your decision-making processes in a hierarchy from the ground up. Do not build an unstable building from the top down. It just might tip over.
Well, and I think if you're new to doTERRA, what you want to look at doTERRA is as not just that it's a one-off purchase for lavender essential oil, but you've joined a community now. So welcome. We're part of it. We want to be here with you. And like I said, subscribe to the podcast and we'll continue to teach you how to use these products on a regular basis to best benefit your family's health. We are really at doTERRA, your local health food store, where you can go in and you can set up a loyal buying cart and you can purchase the things that you need and you can save money in that process. And whoever's brought you to doTERRA can teach you more about it. And you can certainly join us on a regular basis to learn more. But the goal here, why are we here? We're here to help you with foundational wellness. So whether it's putting the fire out in your house or you're trying to get more sleep at night or you're just trying to feel good, whatever the issue is, come join us, participate, be part of this community and learn more about how you can be more informed in your own self-care and basically live your best life. That's why we love what we do. And that's why we love having you here with us. So let's just kind of recap. So we're talking about foundational wellness first. This is the bottom of the pyramid. We talk about rest and stress management as well, which let me say that again. Sorry, Shane, you're going to have to edit that. So let's go over exactly what we've talked about. So we've talked about the foundational wellness being key. So nutrition and digestion. And then we move to metabolism and movement. So very, very important there. That's when we're looking at our Deep Blue and our Meta Power systems. There are other products that can support you in that area as well. Then we're moving on to rest and stress management. And Laura, we didn't really cover that very well. I would love to just tap for just a minute onto the doTERRA adaptive system and also the Serenity sleep system, which are both brilliant systems to help us in that arena. Do you want to talk about that?
And I want to, as emphatic as I am in teaching the hierarchy and inviting people to understand how to build wellness and well-being, and that there are laws and rules to that, there is no wrong start. Right? So if the first thing you want to do is swap out some OTC, some over-the-counter solutions and go natural, or you want to target mood and sleep, start where you want to start. Just recognize that at the end of the day, teaching you the true laws of health and wellness, at some point, make that a priority to jump in full-fledged. But let's also understand that people have targeted needs and they're looking for targeted solutions. And so often that is mood and it is rest. So let's start with mood. So we have what we call our adaptive system. And one of the things that's really fun to note, just how smart doTERRA is what happens to the body with different methods of usage is actually pretty radical. You get a very different experience with an oil topically than you do with an oil internally, than you do with an oil aromatically. So knowing that, doTERRA has made it easy for us, and they've also made it make sense, right? So within the adaptive system, which is our more mood system or our stress management, or our Serenity system, which is our rest system, they both contain 3 products to ensure you have what you need internally, what you need topically, and what you need aromatically. So let's start aromatic. Both of them have available to you a 15 milliliter bottle of straight blend. And the primary usage for that would be to put it in your diffuser. One of the absolute most powerful ways to experience an essential oil, and it goes so to what Becky's talked about repeatedly here with mental and emotional health, is the olfactory reception sites you have right here at the top of your nose going into your brain is absolutely outstanding. And so to provide an aroma full of chemical constituents that invite you to kind of do one of 2 things. And I love the way Nicole Stevens teaches this. She teaches that deal with your day during the day so you don't have to deal with your day at night or tomorrow. So adaptive in her mind is something where deal with your day right now. And the way I look at adaptive is it's for resilience and it's for adaptability or pliability, right? Like every day is a dance. And am I going to get knocked over by every thing that happened in my day or my schedule that I wasn't planning on or that was disruptive or upsetting? You want to be able to, those little plates or discs you can stand on, and the challenge is to stay balanced. That's adaptive for me. It's all about helping me stay like agile and resilient. So that whole family is so perfect for that. It's like, I'm going to be in my game all day long. Things aren't going to knock me off my feet. I'm going to keep my brain in my game. And there's actually a lot of people who use adaptive as a nighttime hack as well, because it works so well with your GABA chemistry. And you actually have contributors to GABA itself so that it's present in your body. And GABA is what we call a brake pedal when it comes to neurochemistry in the body. It's an anti-excitatory. So instead of your brain whirling out of control and worrying and overthinking things, it grounds you and it brings you into yourself so you can be on your game and stay in your zone. And so the other two delivery systems then are the touch. So it can be rolled on. What's lovely because it smells good. And so it can be a personal scent, but then you become your own human diffuser. So not only does it get in your bloodstream, which is a second powerful delivery system, but you're also then having an aromatic experience as a result of that. So the touch is more of a diluted format, and it's something you can roll on your body, especially on the bottoms of the feet, back of the neck, forehead, because again, we're working on the brain. Now, the last form is the pill form. And this is when I was speaking about the GABA. This is particularly an ingredient in the pill form. So it's an internal consumption. It differs from the oil somewhat in its character. Like one of my favorite ingredients is ahi flowers. And I think it's the seeds that are in there because it's actually a form of essential fatty acids that is just mind-blowingly powerful and cool. So it gives a special kind of fat to the brain along with the GABA that's just like, there's no competition for it. It's just an incredible ingredient. And there's more in there as well that's just all about agility and resilience. Okay. So now we go to our rest family and we have serenity. It's formulated differently. So managed your day. Now it's time to unwind, rest, and calm things down. So we're still working with GABA, but in this case, in the capsule, so the internal consumption, we have L-theanine, for example, from which your body will manufacture GABA, along with our recently updated formula that came out last convention a year ago. We also have tart cherry. And tart cherry is a known supplier of the goods for your body to make both serotonin and melatonin. And what I like about it is it's not like shoving you out of the way and saying, let me just do this for you, which is not the way to handle those two neurotransmitters, by the way. But instead, it's like, here, let me help you. Let me give you a boost. Here, let's get you a start and then encourage your body to go and manufacture those things on its own. So we've got a stick that contains the blend, right? So you've got the oil for the diffuser, the stick in this case versus the touch to wear. So I put it on at night, primarily, again, back of the neck. I put on my forehead, and then wrists are a great place to put it. And then I sometimes will even add more of the 15 mil and make it really potent. And then we have the capsule. And I take 2 of those every single night and have since they came out. And oh my gosh, the science on that, the epigenetic testing shows, are you ready for this? Okay, sort yourself. Good sleeper, lousy sleeper. Good sleeper, the epigenetic testing shows the brain de-aging by 7 years for good sleepers after only 6 weeks. Remember, Becky said, give it time. After only 6 weeks on the Serenity capsule, soft gel, de-aging your brain by 7 years. Hello. And then for people like myself, where we fall into the lousy sleeper category, only that's not my reputation anymore. Thank you very much to the product. 6 years. Now, sounds like a big claim, right? Well, I happen to know some ways you can detect brain aging. And I'm here to tell you, God is my witness, I have seen changes in my brain for being devoted to taking that product. It has absolutely moved the needle for me. And I'm so grateful for it. So Becky, there's a good deep dive into those 2 product families that address that level of our wellness pyramid.
I love that you covered all that. And of course, it's my field. So I'm so passionate about all of the possibilities of what doTERRA can offer those who need support specifically for the brain and for mood. Part of what we don't think about, though, that's happening for the brain is toxins in the environment. So a lot of the reasons why we have some of the problems and challenges that we have in the mental health world is because of the abundance of environmental toxins that we are plagued with on a regular basis. And that's not new news to most people. I think it's pretty widely known that we have to really look at the toxins in our environment now in a way that we never thought we had to before. And doTERRA has an entire line for that. So we're covering for that too in the wellness pyramid, which you've already kind of tapped on some of the products that are in that line, but we're talking about our cleansers and our Bode system that's available, our On Guard system. We have cleaning detergents and laundry, this and that, and shampoo and skincare, and our incredible sunlight. So lots of replacement products for you to go ahead and add to your shopping cart, just so that you can trust that you're getting those environmental toxins out of your brain and your entire body. And I know you're also passionate, Laura, about the impact that environmental toxins play with our overall health and wellness, especially the impact on our vital organs like our liver and kidneys and just even hormone function.
Oh gosh, Becky. Yes.
Pandora's box, right?
To restrain myself because I'm so passionate about, well, anybody who's been within the sound of my voice has probably heard me say wellness is actually really simple. It's simply this: get enough of the right stuff and not too much of the wrong stuff. And I do leave a margin of error because we can't live in a bubble and make sure that nothing toxic touches us. That's unfortunately unrealistic. But let's be in a space where there isn't too much of the wrong thing. And one of the thoughts that came to mind as you're speaking, just to really add some frosting on top of it, is I want you to think of your cell. Now, go back to Star Trek or something, right? And you're talking about a station like your cell, and then these ships, like how many Gardens of the Galaxy, Star Trek, whatever you've watched, these ships dock onto the space station, right? So your cell has all these docking bays known as receptor sites. And if your body is being flooded by toxins because you're not mindful of what you're washing your dishes in, which, by the way, your hands are sitting in, or washing your hands with, or the type of hand sanitizer you put on your hands, or the type of toothpaste you put in your mouth, which totally gets into your system, not to mention your laundry soap, your hair care. I mean, I think somebody said on a thing I watched the other day that women are putting 4.5 pounds of substances into their body through things like skincare and makeup. That's a lot of stuff that your body, especially your liver, has to process. So when you think of that cell and the docking stations, the receptor sites, if you're being bombarded by plastics, for example, plastics occupy the same receptor site as insulin. And they can literally contribute to something known as insulin resistance because of an excessive exposure. They've also been known to highly affect, for example, testosterone levels. There are a number of things we call xenoestrogens. So when we hear endocrine disrupting chemicals, of which there are rampant amounts between our water, to our food, to our cleaning products, to industrial, you name it, we are bathing in in endocrine disrupting chemicals. So any xenoestrogen that's coming in, it occupies the same cellular receptor site as your own estrogen. And we see women today between ages of 18 and 25 with the type of estrogen level you would see in a woman who's postmenopausal, because there's too much competition for those receptor sites. And so the first thing you could do, obviously, is, well, then I'm going to lower the population of exposure because I choose to do no harm in my own body. And I'm going to be far more selective about all these products and lessen the competition. There's actually a total theory called competitive inhibition, where you flood your body with good stuff so there isn't room for the bad ships to dock on your cell. And right out of the gates, just one last mention is, why is citrus oil a day? Why is Dr. David Hill, our original chief medical officer and founding executive doTERRA, told us, Becky, we've been around since the beginning of doTERRA time. He taught us a citrus oil a day because citrus oils break down toxins. Have you ever dripped a citrus oil on a styrofoam cup? Do it. It's a phenomenal experience to watch it literally dissolve before your eyes. Try that with some lemon oil, or put it on the top of your water in a Solo cup and give it a few minutes. And next thing you know, it's as if your Solo cup was cut by a laser. You can literally lift off the top of the Solo cup. Like, this stuff breaks stuff down. Like, how many of you used it to get the grease off your pans? So what could it do for the grease in your body? So a citrus oil a day is first and foremost the number one move on dealing with the toxic load in the body, not to mention a critical decision to lessen the load you're creating in your own life by the products you choose to use.
And we hope that you, our listener, our viewer, wherever you're at, will dive deep into knowing more about doTERRA products so that you have the right products to use for all of these issues. So again, just to recap, we have talked about nutrition and digestion, we've talked about movement and metabolism, we've talked about rest and stress management, we've talked about reducing toxicity, we've talked about informed self-care, and we've talked about being proactive with your medical care, which is the general philosophy of doTERRA. As you are new, possibly, to doTERRA and you're coming here to learn a little bit more, I want to just bring to light the corruption that's in the industry of essential oils, that there's a lot of adulteration that's happening. We have done a sort of whistleblower podcast with Emily Wright, one of the founders of doTERRA and the chairman of the board at this point, former president of the company. She's exposed in our podcast what's going on. And so you want to look for that podcast and watch it. But I think what you need to know is that you can trust what's going on with the science that you see in these products at doTERRA, that there's nothing else quite like it. I think, Laura, you and I both, I think, would agree on this. We've never seen a company so dedicated to potency, to purity, to being on top of the latest technology that's available, and to spending the time to research and know what products are really best for your health and wellness. So you really have everything you need in your doTERRA shopping cart. You just need to get enrolled in the loyal buying program. Go ahead and start adding products that are best for your family. Your health will be different than the next person who listens. So you're going to want to figure out where you fit right now. What can you add in? And we've made a recommendation and how to follow that wellness pyramid, where to start and where to go next. But depending on where you came in, might look a little bit different, and you might have some fires that need putting out. You can certainly reach out to your wellness advocate who referred you to doTERRA and have them help you along the path. But we hope this podcast will help you too. We're so glad that you've come and been here with us. Laura, before we let our viewers and listeners go, do you have any last advice about using doTERRA as a system for wellness, or anything else you want to add for our viewers?
Well, I think it really takes us back to where we've centered our entire conversation today, Becky, and that is the wellness pyramid really does help us have a decision-making tool where you build from the ground up, and just recognize that wellness and health are achieved and maintained by keeping the rules and the laws of the body. And so as long as you give it what it needs and you fire up that engine, you've got the right keys, alternator batteries going, the gut's humming and running, the cells are humming and running, you're putting in those essential nutrients, and then you're building from that foundation. So in other words, don't cheat yourself. Don't expect to get great results without coming at it from the right space, right? That again, just follow the hierarchy. And so I totally understand, like when we're uncomfortable, like after a workout or cleaning the garage or gardening, if I'm uncomfortable, it's going to be a deep blue moment. I'm not thinking about my VMG right now. Okay. I might be thinking about extra E omega, but I'm not thinking about VMG in the moment. So there are those moments where we're uncomfortable. And I'm so grateful that my wellness is powered by doTERRA essential oils, because I can trust their purity, because they focus on purity. That means they've automatically focused on potency. They focused on safety, and they absolutely strive in the most extraordinary ways for consistency, so we can depend on consistent performance. So yes, there's those moments in our life that happen every single day where I'm so grateful that I have that reach, and yet create a baseline in your life, create a consistent, because you're going to be more responsive to every single other thing you want to do, every single oil you use. Your responsiveness will go up when you're checking those basic boxes of your foundational wellness. You'll see your body perform in every other way you want it to perform better, because you chose that first.
Laura, I want to go back to my own experience. You started out talking about being a young mom with kids. And I just want to say, as you taught me so much about health and wellness and helped me as a young mom with my kids, we were kind of, like you said, tag teaming it together years ago. And we found doTERRA. I will tell you, doTERRA has been the greatest blessing in my life, because it provided a place where I could go buy products to manage all of these things that I could trust. And I don't honestly know what I would have done over the last 16 plus years without having this particular product line to purchase from. it saved me so much money over time, because if I were to run off to the local health food store and try to piecemeal together, study and know what to buy, first of all, and try to figure out the background to companies and who to buy from and all of that, and then I were trying to manufacture it all myself, oh my goodness, I'd be spending so much more money. So I am eternally grateful for the owners of doTERRA for creating this company, for providing this education. I have learned so much about how to care for myself, and I want to invite you, our viewers, our listeners, to self-care, to care enough about yourself. You matter, your family matters, and let these products work for you. And you don't need to believe us. You can just order them and start using them, and you'll see for yourself the difference that they will make in your life. I also recommend picking up a book on essential oils that focuses primarily on doTERRA essential oils, because they're different. Don't use anybody else's oils, by the way. There's so many that are adulterated in the marketplace. So you want to use a product you can trust with essential oils. Use the doTERRA oils and pick up a book and follow along. You're going to learn and you're going to grow, and you are going to have foundational wellness as we participate together. So thanks again for joining us for the Experience Wellness podcast. We'll see you next time, and we can't wait to share more of what we've learned about doTERRA products. Take care. Bye-bye.